call this meeting to order, please. We'll begin with a prayer by Ms. Cook and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Terrio.
We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future and the rights and the needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Cook and Mr. Terrio. We welcome you to the City Parish Council meeting. We, as your representatives on the Lafayette Consolidated Government, welcome your involvement and do encourage your participation. This meeting is a public hearing. If you wish to address the council on any item on the agenda, please fill out the request form in the foyer on the computer provided. The electronic request to address the council form must be filled out and submitted prior to the call of the agenda item, or you will not be given the opportunity to speak. If assistance is needed with submitting the request, staff is available to help. In the event a speaker has completed their comments prior to the expiration of their allotted 5 minutes, any remaining time shall be forfeited. If you have materials you wish to submit to the council, please give those to the council clerk, Ms. Veronica L. Williams, seated to my left in the middle. In an effort to allow everyone an opportunity to be heard, the 5-minute rule will be in effect. Speakers shall refrain from debating, personal attacks, and from making confrontational or derogatory comments. I'm requesting that the first row to my left be used by media only. Lastly, food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, and all phones and electronic devices shall be silenced from this point forward. I'm also requesting that anyone who approaches the council state their name and title for the official record. Meeting procedures are by resolution and not by Robert's Rules of Order. Documents, including agenda, ordinances, resolutions, and minutes related to this meeting are posted online at www.lafayettela.gov, or you may refer to the web address on the top of the agenda. The council encourages your involvement and participation by volunteering for boards and commissions. If you're interested in finding out which boards suits your interest, call 291-8800, or you may pick up a pamphlet at the door. You may notice that I am presiding as chair of this meeting. As vice chair, I'm covering for the absence of our council chair, Kevin Naquin, who is unable to attend tonight's meeting due to a previous commitment. Due to the 4th of July holiday, the July meetings were moved to the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. The meetings will return to the regular 1st and 3rd meeting in August. I would like to wish Celestina Cruz, Council Administrative Secretary, a happy birthday, which she will celebrate on July 20th. As the presiding officer over tonight's meeting, I would like to announce that notice is hereby given that the Lafayette City Parish Council, serving as the governing and taxing authority of the City of Lafayette and the Parish of Lafayette, plans to consider adopting an ordinance to levy and impose new, increased, or renewed ad valorem property taxes at its meeting on Tuesday, September the 4th, 2018 at 5:30 in the Council Auditorium, 705 West University Avenue, Lafayette, Louisiana, 70506. This notice is being published to comply with Louisiana Revised Statutes 42:19.1, and I should make note that the 5:30 is in the afternoon for our meeting. Item 14, Ordinance 98, 2018, a request for an amendment by the Police Department with reference to police sergeant promotions will be considered, and that's to promote 1 sergeant instead of 3. Item number 45, which is Ordinance 121-2018, regarding amendments to the Lafayette City Parish Charter, is being pulled from the in globo list to allow for more council discussion and public input. I will be moving that agenda item to the portion of the agenda between the discussion item requested by Ms. Cook and the consideration of the final ordinances. So this is being moved up to the front of the agenda. At that time, we will have a full discussion, and there will be a vote taken for introduction. And one final note, I don't think anyone argues with me on this one on the council. I am senior on the council in terms of age, and it's no secret that while I don't like to acknowledge my age, I do have to make some concessions. And one of the fact is that I'm a little bit hard of hearing for high frequency noises, and that applies to this right here. So for tonight, I have requested our council clerk to notify me as to when time has expired for each of the 5 minutes allotted to the public speakers. So please indulge me on that. And I find it rather amusing that our council clerk said, well, there's another way you can tell. The reflection in the window over there of the timer. I said, well, that's the other issue I have, Veronica. I can't see that far, okay? So,
Do you need me to step in?
I may need some assistance in many, many ways, yes. All right, having said that, we'll move on to any other significant announcements from the council members, and we will begin with Mr. Boudreau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members and administration and public. I just want to publicly acknowledge the efforts and the work of our Public Works Department, our local engineer, Huval and Associates, and all those who provided services related to the Surrey Street Bridge. It is well known by now, and actually every sign is now down, that the bridge is functioning and opening again. We were in excess of 30 days ahead of the projected date, and we had recognized some of the hardships that was created by that bridge being closed and the impact it had on communities with extra traffic and inabilities to get to and from. But as it was indicated from the very beginning, the effort was going to be a good one, and that it was. I hope that that activity actually gives some degree of trust and confidence in government, that when things go well, we had great weather conditions, even though it did rain, when they needed to be out there, they were out there. We had great contractors on the job. All timelines were exceeded, and that doesn't happen often, but it happened this time. And I just want to thank the community for their patience. Macomb, Vise, River Oak Subdivision, and everybody else, Oakbourne Neighborhood Subdivision, all those who frequently travel that area and the impact it had. But Mark, I know you were not able to be with us at the actual opening, but to you and the entire Public Works Department and everybody who worked on that, just great job. And on behalf of the community, thank y'all for your efforts throughout. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Mr. Terrio?
Yes, real quick, the administration, this is kind of directed toward you guys. I had a couple of requests, didn't know how to respond, but the requests were that I think recently we've seen in the media where we've had some burglaries. I think the primary one is vehicles losing tires and things like that. Their question to me was, you know, what has the crime rate been maybe in the last 6 months? If we can find out if there is a huge uptick in what's happening. I've talked to a couple of the smaller municipalities, the other ones, Youngsville and Broussard, and they're seeing an uptick in what's happening there too. So if we can get some kind of number to provide to the council with some information on burglaries and robberies maybe in the last 6 months, we'd appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You have the mic, Mr. Garoppolo.
Yep, we'll get those numbers to y'all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Terrio. Mr. Lewis?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's just something that's been happening with the Lespe Motel and the bottling company that's right next, adjacent to it, and I just want to read something that I appreciate that everyone has been involved with it. The news media has reported, and I have independently confirmed, that the Four Corner blocks where the Lespe Hotel is located is under contract. That's something that we've been working for a long time. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who participated and continues to participate in the redevelopment of the University Corridor. With the construction of the University underpass and widening of the University Avenue to provide a safe path to emergency health care, unfortunately became more than 40 years of disfranchisement and deterioration. With $50 million of new private investment, this will finally end. The proposed redevelopment project at Four Corners is of what a public-private partnership should be. It is an example of what happens when target public investment creates the opportunity for private investments to follow. I want to thank the administration for their vision of possibilities for the University Corridor. Thank to everyone who worked on the corridor with our consultant. Most importantly, thank you to my neighbors and friends who showed up throughout the years to uplift efforts and support a positive change for the gateway to Lafayette. Our future is bright, if not now, when? If not us, then who? This is our unique opportunity to create change and shape the landscape of Lafayette, from I-10 to City Hall, to the university, and even on to the Lafayette Airport. Again, I'd like to thank everyone. We had meetings, we had several meetings at British Ministry over the last several months. And every time we had a meeting, we invited several people, and we always had over 120 people that participated with the consultant and with the administration. And I just want to thank the constituent, the people that came by and supported what we are doing. It's finally coming to a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Next on the agenda, the Executive Mayor President's Report. Mr. Robideau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me introduce everyone to our new interim director for development and planning. Danielle, if you don't mind standing up and waving. I appreciate it. Welcome. We're thrilled to have you, and glad that you're being introduced on a light development and planning agenda as opposed to the next meeting when I know you'll be up at the podium a bunch. So if we could, everyone, let's give Danielle a welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Toops for the budget to actual comparison comment.
Ms. Toops.
This is our monthly budget to actual comparison of all major funds, as is now required by the statewide agreed upon procedures. If you have any questions, please email me. We're happy to answer anything that you need.
Is that it, Mr. Robideau? Thank you, sir. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I'd like to recognize a Boy Scout troop from Cathedral Corner, troop number 405. I'd like you to come up, please, from troop number 405. Come right up there, please. To the mic up there. Just give me your name and what school you go to. I know it's Cathedral in your grade. And what do you do, your position?
I'm Holden Landry from Boy Scout Troop 405. I'm in high school. I go to ECA, Early College Academy, and I'm going to be a senior.
Be a senior. Who's the gentleman with you?
Mr.
Come
Harold
on, sir.
Scheffler is my
come up.
troop master, or scout master.
Thank you. One of the requirements for two of the merit badge, communications and citizenship in the community, is such that you have to attend a public meeting. And that's what we're here for, and we thank you for putting up with us.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Lewis?
Yes. Thank you.
We'll move on to the resolutions portion of the agenda. This is a public hearing, and electronic sign-in is available for anyone wishing to address the council, and the 5-minute rule does apply. Cindy, could you read the first resolution, please?
Resolution 43, 2018, a resolution of the Lafayette City Parish Council approving Daily Tower Service Incorporated Company for participation in the Industrial Tax Exemption Program at 605 Hector Colony Road, Carencro, Louisiana, 70520.
Motion, please. Moved by Ms. Cook. Second by Mr. Lewis. Any council discussion on this item? I see none. Do we have any public comment?
Mr. Chair, we do have one citizen who did not wish to speak who signed in to oppose the resolution.
Okay, with that being noted, let's move on to a call for the vote from the council to adopt the resolution or reject. A yes vote would accept the application, a no vote would reject.
District 1. District 2.
No.
District 3.
No.
District 4.
No.
District 5.
No.
District 6.
No.
District 7.
No.
District 8. District 9.
No.
Motion fails. Resolution 44, 2018, a resolution approving the issuance, sale, and delivery of not exceeding $1,500,000 of water revenue bonds, Series 2018, of Lafayette Parish Waterworks, District South, Lafayette Parish, Louisiana, and other matters relating thereto.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Terrio. Need a second? Second by Mr. Bellard. Any council discussion? Any public comments?
Yes, sir. We do have one speaker, Roderick Robinson.
Mr. Robertson?
I'm up here, I'd like to try to find out what this is about because I think that South Water District and stuff like that, and I've been trying for years and years to get water and stuff like that, and I still don't have the water. So I want to see what this is involved in, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah. I've been trying years to get water, and if they're trying to borrow money or whatever, why I still don't have water. I came back and forth to this council a bunch of times before trying to get this. Kevin Knockines in my district. Purvis Morrison was there before, and before Purvis and stuff like that, I forgot who it was, but I was here, and I still don't have no water, city water, you know, on water well. So I'd like to hear more about this and see what y'all actually voting on, what this is concerned, because I'm in South Water District.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robertson. We do have two council members who wish to make some comments. We'll begin with Mr. Bellard.
Yes. If you can, leave your name and number with Miss Veronica Roberts, South Water District. You've never contacted me personally, but we can look at the maps and we can see if they're going that way or not going that way. But so just please your name and number with her, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Terrio.
Yes, Mr. Robinson, here in the ordinance or the resolution, it specifically states that these bonds are being sold to pay costs of constructing and acquiring improvements, extensions, and replacements to the waterworks system. It does not specify here to us council members as to what actual project that it's going to be used for. I'm sure that's something that Water District South and their board would have to approve of. So that may be another avenue for you to go after. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Terrio. Any other public comments, Ms. Williams?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Let's call for the vote, please.
District 3.
Yes.
District 4.
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
District 6.
Yes.
District 7. District 8. District 9. District 2. Motion passed. Resolution 45, 2018, a resolution of the Lafayette City Parish Council to support a grant application of the Bayou Vermilion District to the FHWA Recreational Trails Program for Louisiana.
Motion, please. Motion by Mr. Boudreau. Second by Ms. Hebert. Any council discussion? Any public comment?
No, sir.
Call for the vote, please.
District 4.
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
District 6.
Yes.
District 7.
Yes.
District 8.
Yes.
District 9.
Yes.
District 2.
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution 46, 2018, a resolution of the Lafayette City Parish Council authorizing the filing of an application with the U.S. Department of Transportation for a 2018 Build Transportation Program grant for the Mayor President's Office.
Motion by Mr. Boudreau. Second by Mr. Terrio. Any council discussion? I see none. Any public comment?
No, sir.
Call for the vote, please.
District 5.
Yes.
District 6.
Yes.
District 7.
Yes.
District 8. District 9. District 2. District 3? District 4? Motion passed.
Next item on the agenda is for reports and/or discussion items, and we have had a request from Ms. Cook for an update on the Vero School Road project. The floor is yours, Ms. Cook.
Thank you, Chairman. If I could have Bill Oliver and Jeff Faust come up. I appreciate y'all coming tonight. And you're probably so sick of all my emails asking 1,000 questions, but if you could just give us kind of an update of where we are right now, and there's a couple of things I had emailed you about, maybe certain intersections that have been in question, and just that in general.
Okay.
If you guys want to share the podium, this mic is also hot.
Okay, my name's Bill Oliver, District Administrator for DOTD here in Lafayette, and Jeff Faust is a project engineer on the project. He's going to give you the nuts and bolts of the project. I'm going to let him update you on what's going on out there on the project.
Good evening. As some of y'all know who have passed in the area, the focus of work as of late has been in the area of stellar settings, which is Rue Louis and Ashley Drive, and about the mid-range portion of the project. The project has progressed to a point where we have traffic on the outside lanes, the newer lanes that were recently paved from around the Rue Louis area up north toward Lafayette. We're currently working on the middle portion of that roadway now. There's been a lot of focus and a lot of comment from the public to my office in reference to how much longer it would be before the intersection at Rue Louis is open. Today we did some aspects of work that deal with switching the traffic signal to the new signal. We've got that operational. Striping crew was coming in today, has some mechanical issues. We're hoping to have striping crews in there tomorrow. So by the end of this week, we're looking at having that intersection open, turn lanes open, and cross traffic back at that location. So that being said, the good news there, but then the bad news is we're closing Camellia intersection there immediately thereafter, within about 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks after that, in order to perform the same type of operation at that intersection, getting that intersection upgraded, concrete paving poured, turn lanes done so we can open up that one. Subsequently, following that, we'll go to Digby. We'll shut Digby down and build that one. All while that's going on, the crews will be working in the intermediate areas, trying to get the middle lanes done and get everything open from there. South side of the project, from Ambassador Caffrey South, all those lanes are done. Traffic's on the inside lanes while we work on street lighting, sidewalk installation, tying in the sidewalks with the handicap accessible ramps, and the preliminary striping is done. Then we have some asphalt work to do to tie it in back to the two-lane section at the very south end of the project. Once the project's complete, it will be complete with street lighting from one end to the other, sidewalks from one end to the other, 4-lane divided highway through a majority of it. Some sections around Rue Louis will be a 5-lane section dealing to allow access to the stellar settings, which has a large volume of traffic coming in and out. Side streets will be complete, and we're looking at completion early next year. Everything will be done and sold.
Okay, thank you. I do appreciate all that y'all are doing in terms of, responding, first of all, to all the questions that people have put out to you. And I do feel like it's moving very quickly, and all the business signs that y'all put up, business access signs, I think has been helpful as far as people being able to see. I think that was a complaint too. How do I get to that business? And so, of course, now that we're on the outside, though, if you see a business way over there, there's a big loop you have to get to. But I think, for the most part, I think people have been somewhat patient now. I know people are frustrated as always when stuff like this happens, but I do appreciate, how hard y'all are working. Do y'all work at night as well? Is there a crew that comes in at night?
Depending on what type of aspects of work. All the concrete pavement's done at night to allow for access from the trucks. The vehicular traffic is heavy all the time during the day, so truck access would be restricted, and we wouldn't be able to progress the project as quick as we did it during the day. So most of the concrete pavement's at night, and the preliminary prep work for that, hauling in rock and hauling out dirt and all that, a lot of that's done at night. Some of the pipe work was done earlier on, which also garnered quite a few complaints from people trying to sleep. But I mean, we moved pretty quickly in some areas. We didn't stay there very long, so the complaints were fairly minimal.
So we're looking at fall coming up? I mean, I know you can't give me a date, but sometime
within the
late
very
fall?
early quarter of the new year.
Oh, okay, so we're looking at January?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For completion. Yes.
For completion of everything, yeah.
For completion, yes. I mean, we may be in final configuration a little earlier than that.
Okay.
Where we have traffic all on the lanes, but we'll have, there'll be striping and signals and lighting and seeding and fertilizing and dressing up and clean up. So, that takes a bit of time at the end of the project to complete everything and get the.
So traffic will be open before that's done, or no?
Could be open, yes, before that, because
okay.
we need to move traffic on and get get final striping on it. And,
right.
And I know there's going to be some signal work and some of those things to do. So
Okay.
we're working toward the end. I want to thank you for your assistance during this project, setting up public meetings, meeting with some of the neighborhoods, answering some of those emails. I know how that gets. So.
Well, yeah, I'm not real popular either.
Thank you. And I also want to let you know, as part of the agreement for this road transfer project that we all agreed to, as part of this project is to complete it and then turn it over to the city of Lafayette. We have one other piece of this, and that is the overlay of Vero School Road from Pinhook through Faux Filet. And so we're working on that design project today. We plan on letting that project, we're trying to let it for around January. And so the work will be done early next year, and that would complete the entire project. We've done a road safety analysis as part of that project, as part of all of our projects. And so we're going to do a reconfiguration of Amar there at Shawbills. We're going to take that roadway, because it comes in at a severe skew, we're going to take that roadway and turn it into a 90-degree turnout there for safety, so that when you come to exit that roadway, you'll be facing 90 degrees of traffic. You'll be able to see to your left. It'll be much safer to get people out. We'll also be adding a right turn lane at Faux Filet as part of a safety improvement. They've had quite a few accidents at Faux Filet. It showed up as an abnormal intersection, so we're going to add a right turn lane onto Faux Filet to maintain that turning movement there. And so we hope to finish that sometime, middle of next year, and we'll be ready to let you have the roadway.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate y'all coming out tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Cook, and we may have some questions from Mr. Terrio.
Sure.
Yes, if you don't mind. Jeff, if you could take a step back. You mentioned that eventually the Vero Camellia area was going to be closed. How long before that's going to take place?
Hoping to get asphalt on some new detour roads we're going to be putting just out there by the end of this week. Once that asphalt's done early next week, we would have that shut down.
And for how long?
I'd say between a month to 2 months.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking is so many people, and I guess myself too, we're getting stuck in the same situation. If you're coming up Vero School Road toward Camellia, or if you're coming down Vero Road heading south toward Camellia, the left turn, there's no arrow, there's no left turn sign that says no left turn. So what happens is people, especially going north in the morning, are trying to turn left from Vero and Camellia, and the traffic backs up from there because there's constant traffic coming southward. They can't turn all the way back to Como High School and all the way down.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I experienced it today coming in just to the office where we were almost at Como High School, and you could look way ahead and they had car after car waiting to turn left. Is there anything going to be done, or are you guys going to wait till 2 weeks until you shut it down, and then when it reopens, it'll open again with arrows or no turn signs?
Well, everything will get shifted down back to Rue Louis. So any of those left turns that needed to be done at Camellia, you'll go to Rue Louis where you'll have a left turn, designated left turn lane. You'll be able to get out of the main line of traffic if you're heading north and turn there. And then you would also turn toward Ashley Drive to come back around to Tolson to facilitate that movement. You won't be able to cross. Once we do reopen Camellia, the plan is to have Camellia fully reopened with turning movements and everything.
So we'll have turning lights, arrows, everything, just like a normal intersection. All right, very good. Well, here's a good question for the both of you, and I'm going to smile when I say this to you, because you're going to have to answer it. If someone were to ask you, when they look at Vero School Road and the process, what's going on, they'll see a bunch of work happening, good weather conditions, a lot of crews out there working, and then all of a sudden, for a good period of time, they don't see anything going on. How do we respond to individuals who ask us about that, Mr. Holmes?
The way these projects work, we bid out contracts just like you do to contractors, and we pay those contractors by items of work, okay? And he bills all his cost in there, and his overhead, and his profit, okay? And we give him so many days to build that job. Those logistical issues like that are between him, it involves materials, subcontractors, just like you're building a house. When you're building a house and you're building with one of the contract builders, you'll notice they'll come in and they'll put in something and they're waiting for a drywall crew, you might wait for a few days to like get the crew free. This is the same kind of thing. We may be waiting for subcontractors or other type contractors. And so we do not direct how he does that job or when he does things. We give him the time frame and we charge the days. And if he goes over the time, we charge the liquidated damages, which gives him the incentive to finish the job on time. But the rest of it is logistical issues with the contractor that we put under his control.
Okay. Well, finally, you guys must, hopefully you guys are feeling pretty good because there's a lot of people praying for you to finish early. So
I would tell you these type projects are the most difficult projects. When you're doing an urban project in town where you're taking a 2-lane roadway to 4 lanes, it's the most difficult thing you can do and still maintain traffic because you're moving, you're taking, not only are you moving traffic, but the turning movements, we have restrictions. The left turns there, if we eliminate left turns on the roadway, then where do you go? Part of the issue is trying to still service the businesses, still service the community, and still build the project, and still do it in a cost-effective manner. So we have to do all those things, and these projects take a lot of thought and planning, and it's just this project is one of the most difficult ones we do. It's much easier to get on the interstate and move traffic over and let them go through than it is to come into the community and do this. You're welcome.
Ms. Hebert.
Real quick, thank you for the update, but also, is this something that you guys can send to us electronically as well? Because you were kind of talking fast, and I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything in my notes. So if you don't mind sending it to us electronically via email, I appreciate that. Thank y'all.
Thank you, gentlemen. That concludes our reports and/or discussion items on the agenda for this evening. And as I noted earlier, we will be moving the last item on the agenda, which is item number 45, Ordinance 121, 2018, for discussion and a vote at this time. And this will be for introduction. So Cindy, would you read that one, please?
Ordinance 121, 2018, an ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council proposing amendments to various sections of the Home Rule Charter of Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government for the following purposes: to abolish the governing authority of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government to establish the City Council as the governing authority and legislative branch of the City of Lafayette, and the Parish Council as the governing authority and legislative branch of the Parish of Lafayette, to abolish the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority, and to substitute in its place the Lafayette City Council as the governing authority of the Utilities Department and of the Lafayette Public Power Authority, to provide that temporary occupants of the position of the Mayor President, City Council member, or Parish Council member during a period of vacancy shall be eligible to run in an election for the vacant position, to abolish the Lafayette City Parish Planning and Zoning Commission, and to substitute in its place a separate City Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Lafayette, and a separate Parish Planning and Zoning Commission for the Parish of Lafayette, to change the method of nomination of prospective appointees to the Lafayette Municipal Civil Service Board, to change the method of counting the required percentages of voters for an initiative or referendum petition, to change the method of counting the number of votes necessary to amend the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government Home Rule Charter, and calling for an election of the duly qualified electors of the Parish of Lafayette by appropriate resolution in order to consider such proposal.
Motion, please. Moved by Mr. Boudreau, seconded by Ms. Hebert. I will preface discussion on this item by just noting that this is intended to create 2 separate councils, one for the Parish of Lafayette and one for the City of Lafayette. It does not, I repeat, it does not impact Lafayette Consolidated Government under the administration of the Mayor President. With that said, the floor is open for discussion, folks. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In looking at this issue, a few questions come to mind. Why the need to get this done now? Why can't we wait until 2020 census to give us a clearer picture of our problem targets by district? If at the end of the day, the fear of the city parish council being more parish leaning, we can look at a variety of options to include reducing the overall number of council members to account for any population shift once the census is done. We also need to take the necessary steps to include as much community input as possible, as this will far-reaching implications of our entire city. This partial proposal will, at the end of the day, cause an increase in government and have the potential for conflict of interest for the staff and other entities, as we would be competing for the same service and our place in line from the various departments. With the long-reaching implication of making such a bold change to our structure of government, we need to increase our transparency and include all council members into the discussion of district boundaries and other aspects of this plan. More importantly, we need to engage the public input and ensure everyone is on the same page as to what is occurring. While we are proposing such a change, and while the need to do this now, which are all questions that need to be considered before moving forward on this issue. We can do better together, but the key is that we must do better together. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Bellard?
Yes, I'm going to be very brief. In my 11 years of being on this council, I've never had to find out that we're going to change government and there were plats being made via the radio. I find it very disturbing and very disheartening because we're all elected public officials up here. We all deserve equal input into everything that goes on up here. If it would happen the other way around, I'm sure some people would be upset too. But to know that we're going to make a new government and not all non-council members had anything to do with the mapping or the decision making, we're just going to put out there on the fly. I get calls, hey, what's going on with this? Not deconsolidation like Mr. Conk says, but the redistricting of our area. I can't answer it. Certain council members didn't invite me into the conversation. That's a total lack of disrespect to me. And after 11 years, I've never shown the disrespect to anybody, and I'm very disappointed in it. One of the reasons why I will not be supporting this is that the non-council members, all you need 5 to pass something. You go to the 5 city members, all you need is 3. I'll take my chances with 5, not with the 3. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Terrio?
Thank you. The lack of transparency in this entire process is a disgrace to those who support good government. It's clear to the people that the powers that be, rather than the public, have already decided what they want to do and will do it regardless. There's a lack of trust in government. We all know that. What has been done with this council is an attempt to hijack local government with virtually no input from this council or the people they represent. And you want to ask people to trust you with more tax dollars. The last time the charter was discussed, a charter commission was appointed, met for almost a year, and the public was included. So what we're being told is that the citizens of this community, that it is okay to draw new district maps behind closed doors and give 2 weeks to the general public in the middle of the summer when they're on vacation to comment. And that the vote to introduce this requires only a simple majority rather than a 2/3 vote mentioned in the charter. Now, on that note, I'll say that I've already spoke with legal about it. Legal has said that they clarified that 5 votes are only needed to introduce this, but actually at final you will need 6. That is the opinion that was given to me. Now, our charter specifically states that if you are to amend or repeal the charter that a 2/3 majority of the council is needed. It doesn't say anything about introduction or final. So with that, I don't know if I agree with it, but I'll address that later on. What I would like to know is that how many council members participated in the drawing of the maps that were provided? Do we know that?
I did not.
See, that's of concern. Back when we did redistricting a long time ago, every council member had the opportunity to sit down with what was called the demographer and have input into what map was being drawn. That has not happened here. Now, the second part is that who drew this map? Now, I'm being told it was an individual that did our last redistricting, which at this point, I've got some very serious concerns, because had William Terrio gone to somebody that draws up district maps and said, hey guys, you know what? I want you to draw up a map of districts for me and let it meet DOJ requirements, do you think they would have done it for me? Absolutely not. Now, what's of additional concern is that we have a demographer, and please include Mr. Ascott on this. We have maps that were drawn up by a demographer. But clarify, Mr. Ascott, if I'm missing on this. Let's assume that this moves forward today, and in 2 weeks, that is approved by the council to move forward. Also, the final ordinance in 2 weeks on the 24th, there would be a resolution that authorizes a demographer to draw up the maps. Is that correct?
Let me check the timelines first.
Because a demographer cannot engage in any financial liability from this council unless the council has given a directive to do so. So I would sure hope that whoever this is that drew up these maps is not expecting to be paid, because this council has not authorized any such contract or payment to one.
Yeah, I don't have that information available to me at this point, but I can tell you this: I wasn't involved in the arrangement, retention discussions with a demographer, so I don't have any personal knowledge to be able to aid you in the information that you're looking for.
All right, let's make it even easier.
Sure.
Me, Councilmember William Terrio, can I on my own go and engage and incur costs with an architect or an engineer or somebody on behalf of LCG without the approval of this council or the administration?
Only if it is already included in a prior approved ordinance or in a line item in the budget that would be for that particular project.
But in this instance, no, I could not.
I'm not aware of any line item, budget,
right,
or resolution or ordinance, although, I mean, I haven't looked, but I've not been made aware of that for this particular project.
Okay. I would sure hope when redistricting does come on, I'm not familiar with the individual. I think I haven't spoken to this individual since, my gosh, 18 years ago. So I would sure hope that a council or future council, when it comes to redistricting, would actually get an outside opinion, somebody else, because somebody who's not so close to Lafayette who can come in and really put eyes on. Because this concerns me about somebody just drawing these maps up and not having an authorization from the council. What's interesting is that a number of council members, we did receive a lot of emails from a lot of individuals. In support of separating. What's interesting is that one of those who was involved, and I'm not going to say a name, but was involved in a lot of aspect from what I'm understanding of this, actually made a comment to an individual that they do understand that this does not fix the problem. This is not the solution. But Here's their quote. We need to pass this and then we'll fix it later. So that specifically was told to me today about this process. Something I want to bring up is that back in 2010, the council back then, which is before some of the individuals on this council, was given a legal opinion that we needed at that time a charter commission in order to change the charter. They did provide me with some information on that, and I appreciate that. So back in 2010, the council was told we needed a charter commission before any amendments could be made by the charter and could not be done by council members. Now, I do understand that they're saying that since that time it has changed, but here's the interesting part. In the information they sent me, the legislature actually amended and reenacted Louisiana Revised Statute 331395.4 in 2006 that basically stated, notwithstanding the provisions of Revised Statute 331395A, in addition, any parish or municipality may amend an existing home rule charter either by amendments proposed by the Charter Commission or by amendments proposed by the governing body. So for those listening, and this is how I took it, in 2010 we were told we needed a charter commission, but in 2006 the legislature said that it could be done by a charter commission or by an amendment proposed by the governing body. If you don't mind, Mr. Chair, could you involve the administration on this?
You have Mr. Robideau. Do you wish anyone else?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Robideau, your mic is hot.
Mr. Robideau, thank you. A quick question. You, as the leader of the city of Lafayette and the parish of Lafayette, what are your thoughts on this particular issue?
Well, this particular issue has a lot of things included. I have a binder of all the changes that are being proposed. I have not had a chance to go through the binder. I believe that conceptually, the city of Lafayette should have some autonomy that it currently doesn't have. But there's a lot of analysis that I still need to do on the precincts that are being drawn and the details that are included in the resolution or the ordinance before I could really make a comment on whether or not I think it's a good idea or not.
Okay. Thank you.
I wasn't, and again, I'm not trying to put off your question, but this was, you know, for introduction today, and so I wasn't prepared. I didn't study it like it was going to be up for adoption.
Well, I appreciate that, and with what you've said, let me try and phrase it this way. You are the leader of Lafayette Parish. You are. You're the leader of Lafayette Parish. You're the mayor of Lafayette, quote, and you are still analyzing this proposal that's before us. We are 9 members of the council. We represent a small piece of Lafayette Parish. You represent everything. And you are still analyzing what's going on. But yet we as a council have to vote to move forward with this as to whether we support it or not. That's what I just can't fathom. We should not even be voting on this if the leader of our community basically doesn't have a position one way or another. Mr. Chair, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Terrio. Mr. Castile?
Thank you, sir. Well, I knew this was going to be some interesting conversations tonight. I don't know where some of you guys been hiding or what rock you've been hiding under, because you're sure not listening to the people that step up to that mic every other Tuesday night. I can tell you that. I've been here 10.5 years like some of you guys. I've been listening. And it's tough to change, to make change. It's perfect? No, it's not perfect. But to move forward, to do the right thing is always hard. Okay? So I've been working on this thing for a while now. Mr. Terrio, I don't know if you got any kind of accusations you want to make again and attach a name to it, but I'd be very careful with what you accusing people of that in. I asked for help from a demographer. I didn't hire a demographer. I didn't pay a demographer. I didn't try to slip nothing in. But you accuse me of that one more time, then you're going to have an issue, you and I both, okay? This started in 2013, I believe, when we had the Charter Commission. 2011. Well, this process has been going on and talked about since then. We've had conversations about parish funding, about city representation. We've had it all, everything. And to say that you guys don't know where this came from, that's amazing. That's amazing. So y'all get up here, y'all try to make us look like the bad guys because we trying to do something good and trying to do the right thing, and telling the people that this is final. This is not final. This is introduction. These maps you talk about, that can change tonight 10 times. Inclusion, you want to talk about inclusion? I wouldn't include you, Mr. Terrio, in anything because of your negative attitude. Cut and dry. Said it publicly before, and I'm saying it again. I apologize to Mr. Bellard for not including him. That was an oversight because I tried to get the East Councilman. And that's an apology I'm making to him. Now, to say we're trying to pull a fast one, we're not trying to pull a fast one. The maps just came out. We've been going through scenarios. They came out Thursday, Friday, a new one came out Saturday, and the other one. We keep changing to get the numbers right just to kind of see if it's going to work. So we can talk to all the council members again and let them look at it and see if that's okay. Okay? There's no underhanded backdoor deal going on here. If you hadn't heard what's been going on for the past 11 years, you should have been here. That's simple. That's amazing to me that you can sit over there and do that and make those accusations. The changes that were being made inside of this charter to separate the two councils, that was the main objective, was to separate the two councils. To do that, you had to change a whole lot of different things inside the charter that pertain to consolidated councils. No major changes, nothing detrimental to the government or the people we represent. This is a document that's going to try to represent the people in the way they should be represented. The parish is one. Everybody's been saying that for a long time. Parish one. Okay? The city of Lafayette is part of that parish. It's part of that body. Just like the other 5 municipalities. They're all part of this body, that parish body. We've been kicking that can down the road so long, it's a joke. It's time for the parish to go on its own, to get its own governing body, and get its feet underneath it, talk to the people, including the 6 municipalities, and tell them what the real problems are, show it to them in a budget every year, a parish budget, not a consolidated budget, to make it easier for everyone to understand, including council members. the thought of this thing being snuck by and run through is amazing. I still can't get over that. The district maps that we got out, that we put on the agenda, was for introduction, not for final adoption. That comes in 2 weeks. When we did the redistricting, we did all our districts within 4 days. Less than that. I want to say it was 3 days. Total. 9 districts. We done in 3 days. So 2 weeks is a problem. Interesting. When we did our redistricting, when we finally came out with it, it was made public. Just like this is going to be made public when it's final. There's no secret. I talk on the radio. I'm in the newspaper. People heard what I had to say. There's no secret. I didn't hide nothing. Nothing at all. Everybody up here knows what's going on. The public knows. They make the comments. I read them. I hear them. I get the calls. I get the emails. We got some that changed course. They liked it this way, but now they want it the other way. So it's just, that's government. That's politics. So I'm not trying to do anything underhanded. I'm just trying to make this thing right. Put this government back like it's supposed to be. The attorney spent quite a bit of time on this, trying to make sure everything was done correctly and legal, and that way they wouldn't have any questions in their mind when this thing is brought forward. When this comes back in 2 weeks, if it makes it for 2 weeks, I'm hoping it does, we're going to have some more discussion, final discussion, final mapping, just like we did the last time, same thing, okay? So, you know, I just can't believe that we sitting up here and we're acting like this thing just fell on our heads from out of the sky. That's amazing. After all the comments and all the beatings we taken and the things that goes on up here, and nobody thought there was an issue. That's really amazing to me. You know, I've been here 10.5 years, seen a lot, done a lot, but this is absolutely ridiculous to get up here and start making those accusations like that. What's before you is introductory. If there's questions, just like when it became public Thursday, when the questions started coming from the public, I started answering whatever I was asked, I was answered. They had questions, I'd answer them. Very simple. City council, parish council. That's what we're looking for. City autonomy, setting the parish back up where it needs to be to start doing its own work. That's what it's about. That's what's in the ordinance. The maps are not permanent. They can change and will change. They changed again today at 5:15. Trying to get the numbers right, trying to get the representation correct on the city and the parish side. If you would have took the effort to do the same thing, you see how much work is involved in all this. And it takes a little time. So I put a lot of time into this. Didn't hide it. Not once did I hide it. Talked about it on the radio, interviewed on TV, in the newspaper. But this ain't no secret. So don't come in here and play off like it's a big old, oh my goodness, it's a conspiracy. I got news for you, it's not. I've been listening. That's all for now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Terrio.
First and foremost, Ms. Castillo, the feeling's mutual. And to clarify, like I said earlier, the map I did not know about along with a number of the council members, and the ordinance was not presented to myself and another number of other council members. Now, something I want to follow up on. Do you still have Mr. Escott hot? Mr. Escott, in any of my discussions earlier and questions, did I, in your opinion, accuse anybody of anything improper?
Mr. Terrio, I don't believe that's an appropriate question for me as counsel for Lafayette Consolidated Government to answer as it relates to communications between members of the same client.
All right.
So if with all due respect, if you allow me not to
I hear
answer.
I'm putting you on the spot, but you were here and you heard everything I said, and so did everybody in the audience. No name was ever said. I was stating facts as to information that was provided, given the analogies that were brought before the council, information that was provided to me about how the maps and the ordinance and everything came up. There were no accusations, and I want to make that very clear. We're a council of 9 individuals. Everybody up here has the right to be opinionated, and most of us do not agree with other council members on certain items. What the heck would we need a council for if everybody agreed on the same thing? As for the information that's provided before us, I do my research. I get input. I want to reiterate that, matter of fact, let's do this. Back in 2010, this council on April the 6th, 2010, was voting to approve the charter commission that would look at amendments to a charter. I'm going to give you some quotes from council members at that meeting when we were just trying to appoint a charter commission. The first city councilman spoke against the ordinance at this time, requesting that the ordinance be deferred until more dialogue can occur. Another city councilman said more public input is needed before a commission is formed, encouraging getting input not only from LCG employees and the administration. Another city council member stated that he was surprised that council members would make a decision to move forward with this ordinance, and said he was not in agreement. And also thinks that discussion needs to go on. Another city council member says that they urged getting additional input from employees and going slowly enough to get inclusion from the public. City council member, and this is just to approve a charter commission, said there seems to be a rush to allow amendments to the current charter and not enough discussion. This is why I ask the questions I ask. Some people don't like it, and that's fine. There are Democrats, there are Republicans, there are those who pretend to be both. I don't serve any master other than the people who put me in this seat. It sounds corny, but I do not represent the government. I represent the people who put me here. And if nobody else has got I got to be careful what I say. Do you know what to ask the tough questions? Then they're not doing the people that represent much justice. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Mr. Boudreau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually only have a couple of things I would like to add to the conversation, although there could be a lot of things addressed here tonight, but I think tonight I'm going to rather prefer kind of just giving more information to the citizens of Lafayette about what's taking place here tonight. So just know that there is a significant difference between assembling a charter commission and getting a referendum prepared for the people to change the charter by a supermajority vote, which does happen at final adoption, not at introduction. The process is what it is. Today, everything is not final and complete. That's why we introduce ordinances, and then they lay over 2 weeks for further work to be done, and then you adopt ordinances. And when adoption time comes, even then if it's not ready, there's an opportunity to lay that over by tabling it for more information or more work to be done when the time allows. I think that's important that we know that. There has been a lot of work done by many individuals, and that should not go unnoticed. But there was a reference here tonight about council members being able to see proposals. In 2010, there was a census done, which is going to be done in 2020. And then after that census, the following year, there may be a mandate to have to do a reapportionment, which was in 2011. And when you do reapportionment, because of the Department of Justice and the Voting Rights Act, you may be required to redraw district boundaries. And if that is the case, it has to work. Well, what's happening here today isn't much different than what happened then, and I could tell you that because I was the chairman in 2011. And I could tell you that there were many occasions where I was the only person who met with the demographer. As a matter of fact, we had 2 demographers. We had a local rep as well as someone who has done work in other parts of the state. And I'm saying this just to kind of make sure that people don't take some of the things that have been said here out of context. There were more than 10 versions of maps when we went through that process. I remember them being pasted all over the wall. 1A, 1B, 1C. And that's what happens when you redraw lines, because there are so many mandates that exist, starting off with minority districts, starting off with deviation percentages, everything from gerrymandering, just so many things. And a lot of times you fix one, you address one thing, then it throws something else out of whack. So, and that's why they had so many different versions. When the demographer would bring a map forward, it would do one thing and they say, yeah, but look, it violates this, so they had to go back and try to correct that. And that's a lot of what's happening here now. So you introduce something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going to be available to you at final adoption. And unfortunately, it's the process that we're governed by. You know, it's introduction, is adoption, and then there are other timelines. So I just don't want that to be taken out of context, like somebody was trying to sneak a map in or something. You know, there are, Lord knows, a bunch of introductory ordinances on this agenda. This one got pulled, but I'd venture to say you're not going to see any discussion on any other introductory ordinance like this one. But yet, it was said that no one told me nothing. No one told you nothing about every introductory ordinance on this book. But there are times when we take a special interest in a particular thing, and when you do that, then you make yourself available and you talk about it, or you act, you participate. It's just how it works. So it's like, I hate when people, you know, imply that those who have stepped up to do work, they're critical of those individuals. But until those individuals stepped up, no one else did anything. And then there's 3 names on this introductory ordinance, and I'm one of them. And again, we've said it many times, the council are broken up into liaison teams. It's not a special interest group or a PAC or anybody. It's a liaison team. And if you notice, Nakan, Conk, Boudreaux, and Castile has been on a lot of issues these days because of the liaison team that we're assigned to, trying to do something. So it's not that people are being left out, and I don't want it to come across like that, because that's just not true. There are some things that we do on the liaison team no one questions. It affects everything. But when it's of interest, then you ask a question. So I just don't want the efforts of any member who has stepped up to try to correct some things that it's obviously that needs to be corrected, and that they didn't become ridiculed or people are critical of them simply because of their effort. That's just not the case. So, you know, there's going to be more information that's going to come out. You know, the original charter commission that put together our original charter, municipalities throughout the rest of the parish and their position on these issues, and that was a clear message sent. There's an attempt to address that issue, and there's nothing that is ever perfect. And that's what you have here. It's called the process. So, you know, people get a chance to vote, and you vote, and then we accept the results of the vote. But certainly to Mr. Castile and Mr. Conk, as your names appear on this resolution as well, I appreciate the work that you all have done. I've never viewed anything as final, absolute, or cannot be changed. And that's why, you know, you just participate where you can. So I felt the public needed to know that, because some of the things that I heard was like, man, where did that come from? And you could see there's a history since 2007 of who's available to do things and who wants to do things. And that's how it happens. That's how it washes out. So for those of you who are concerned about this process or what impact it may have, I think your questions are appropriate and they are welcome. I think your critique is appropriate and it is welcome. But don't think that this is the final. Typically when information comes in, adjustments get made if they were not already in the process of being made. So just wanted to share that, and hopefully we could get past this introduction and then work toward final adoption of something corrective. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Castillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to clarify a couple of Mr. Terrio's statements. I was probably one of them, well, I probably said everything he said that somebody said. In 2010, it was the first time that charter was talking about being addressed. So yes, you need to talk to people. You need to take your time and walk through it and do everything that he said, I said, or we said. Done that. Been there, done that. We know the problems, we know the issues. That's why we're here today. Try to fix those issues. Okay? So don't think that just because he threw out a few statements that I made back in 2010, that is going to stop me from pushing this forward. I can assure you, what happened in 2010 needed to happen. And what's happening tonight and in 2 weeks needs to happen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm one of them that haven't found out about the drawing of the map until Wednesday. And Thursday, I was upset, really, really upset. But I received a call from someone on Sunday and asked me if I would love to see something they had drew up because they found